Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into something that's at the very heart of daily life in Taiwan, the breakfast shop. And it is so much more than just a place to grab a quick bite. Seriously, it's a whole universe of choices, dreams, and really complex systems all packed into your morning meal. So yeah, let's start with what's on your plate. But first, let me ask you something. Think about your usual morning order. Have you ever actually stopped and wondered if that delicious start to your day is secretly a calorie bomb? One that's setting you up for a crash later instead of a smooth cruise through your morning? Okay, check this out. It's amazing how a tiny change can make a huge difference. On the left, you've got a classic combo. A crispy xiaobing wrapped around a fried dough stick, the youtiao, with a sweet rice milk. I mean, it's delicious, but it's a real double whammy of refined carbs and fat. Now, just a simple swap, like you see on the right, to a xiaobing with a scallion egg and a glass of soy milk, that cuts way down on the oil and seriously amps up the protein. So that brings us right into our first section. We are going to take a closer look at your plate, we'll dissect some of the most common choices, and figure out how to navigate what can honestly feel like a nutritional minefield sometimes. So according to nutritionist Wu Yingqing, a lot of the most beloved breakfast items, think xiaolongbao, those flaky scallion pancakes, or maybe radish cakes, they're really heavy on refined starches and oil. And the result? Well, it's that sleepy, sluggish feeling you get about an hour after you eat. It is the classic carb crash happening right at the start of your day. But hey, don't worry. This isn't about giving up your favorite breakfast spot. Not at all. It's just about making smarter choices. So let's talk about how to build a healthier, more powerful morning meal. All right, so the secret weapon here is protein. It's what helps you feel full longer and gives you that sustained energy. And you have a ton of great options. Instead of just loading up on carbs, make sure your meal includes something like unsweetened soy milk, an egg, or lean meats like grilled pork loin or smoked chicken. And the best part, you're totally in control, so don't be afraid to customize your order. For sandwiches, just ask for grilled pork loin instead of processed bacon. For those amazing egg crepes, the danbing, see if they can use a whole wheat wrapper. And if you're getting a rice ball, ask for healthier 5-grain rice and, I mean it, always skip the fried dough stick inside. Even a simple, less sauce please, can make a world of difference. Okay, let's switch gears for a second. We've talked about what's on the plate, but what about the person who's making it? For a lot of people, opening a breakfast shop is the dream. But the very first question they face is a really tough one. Do you go with a big franchise or do you go it alone? So anyone who wants to be an owner faces this fundamental trade-off. A franchise gives you a brand that people already know and a support system, which is awesome for beginners. But it comes with some hefty fees and really strict rules. Going independent, on the other hand, gives you total freedom. Your menu, your design, your rules. But you're completely on your own, building a customer base from zero, which is a much bigger risk. And this quote really just nails it. Franchising is the safer path. It's like they hand you a pre-built roadmap to follow. But for people who have a really unique vision, that safety can start to feel like a cage, limiting the very creativity that made them want to do this in the first place. But look, whether they choose to franchise or go independent, every single owner learns pretty fast that the dream is built on a foundation of some very hard reality. So let's look at the numbers, the hours, and just the sheer hustle it takes. Ever wonder where your $50 actually goes when you buy breakfast? Well, this chart breaks it down. A huge chunk, like 40%, goes right back into buying ingredients. Then you've got labor at 25%, and rent and utilities taking up another 20%. What's left over? Well, it's a lot smaller than you might think. In fact, after all those costs are paid, the average owner is left with a net profit margin of only around 25%. So for every single dollar you spend, they might be taking home about 25 cents. And that's before they've even paid themselves. It's a business that runs on volume and incredibly tight margins. And the personal cost? It's immense. The workday doesn't start at 7 a.m. Oh no, it starts at 3 or 4 in the morning with all the food prep. It is a physically demanding job with endless hours on your feet. And most of the time, the owner is also the head chef, the accountant, and the manager, all rolled into one. And to succeed today, you absolutely have to adapt. This quote from an aspiring owner on the Forum D card just shows how modern entrepreneurs have to think. They see that customers don't really carry cash anymore, so they're researching things like mobile payments to make the whole experience smoother and, frankly, to not lose a sale. It's just a constant evolution. So we've seen the customer's choice and the owner's struggle. But there's a third, often invisible, player in this whole story, the system that's designed to keep your food safe. So let's zoom out and take a look at this national safety net. So way up at the top, you've got these frameworks like this one from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. It's called the 5 Rings of Food Safety, and you can see it represented by these 5 connected icons here. Basically, it's the government's master plan for managing the entire food chain, from the farm all the way to your breakfast tray. And these rings, they cover everything. It starts with controlling ingredients right at the source, then making sure production is managed properly, then strengthening government inspections, holding the vendors directly responsible for their products, and finally empowering us, the public, to be part of the supervision process. Now, these aren't just some nice ideas on a piece of paper. Not at all. Health departments are out there carrying out both routine, unannounced inspections, as well as special projects that target specific risks, all to make sure these shops are actually following the rules. And the data from those inspections is, well, it's pretty fascinating because it tells us where the real risks are. So while things like processed meats and eggs have super high compliance rates, items like pre-made salads are actually much riskier, with only an 80% compliance rate in tests. This shows you exactly where inspectors need to be focusing their attention. So, what does an inspection actually look like? Are they checking for rocket science? Nope. They're checking for the fundamentals. Are the staff in clean uniforms? Is the fridge cold enough? Are raw and cooked foods kept separate so you don't get cross-contamination? They even check for things you might not think about, like whether employees are getting annual health checkups. And this all comes back to a core concept: good hygiene practices, or GHP. It's the absolute baseline for food safety. It covers personal hygiene, clean environments, fresh ingredients, and sanitized equipment. It's the rule book every single shop is expected to follow. So as we've seen, that simple danbang or sandwich you eat every morning, it's actually the endpoint of a massive, complex story. It connects your personal health choices, an entrepreneur's daily grind, and a huge national system that's working behind the scenes to keep you safe. Which brings us to a final thought. The next time you're standing at that counter, looking at the menu and watching the staff work their magic, what will you see differently? Thank you for joining me.